We made mention of the peace plan in the Middle East that the Arab leaders were discussing yesterday. They're seeking international support for their Gaza reconstruction plan. The plan comes with a 91-page glossary that proposes an enormous rebuilding operation with, crucially, the Palestinians remaining in place. It will be costly. The bill is estimated at over $50 billion. There are detailed proposals in there on how to clear all the rubble. The Israelis and the Americans, though, have already dismissed it as unworkable. There's no plan, they say, for disarming Hamas. They've rejected the proposals to restore and revamp the Palestinian Authority. The more immediate issue, of course, is where we go from here in terms of the ceasefire. Israel still withholding all humanitarian aid for Gaza, and it's now resisting, it seems, the terms agreed for Phase 2 of the agreement. So let's bring in Yolan Nell, who is in Jerusalem. Good to see you. The Israeli Prime Minister said this morning in conversation with his new army chief that he is determined to achieve victory. That doesn't sound like there's much appetite to engage with the Arab League. Well, yeah, so far, what we've had from Israel in terms of a response to that unified Arab statement about a Gaza reconstruction plan, really it's saying that this is rooted in outdated perspectives, that it ignores the realities on the ground, and Israel has been standing by President Trump's alternative plan, which envisages the 2 million residents of Gaza being moved away and a sort of beach destination being created there instead. What we had earlier when Mr. Netanyahu was speaking, it was at the handover ceremony for the new Israeli military chief of staff. The former Israeli military chief of staff, Harry Halevi, tendered his resignation earlier this year. Because of what the Israeli military itself was found to be its complete failure to prevent the events of the 7th of October, those deadly Hamas-led attacks, and we had both Mr. Netanyahu and his new chief of staff for the military talking about the need to have full victory over Hamas. Obviously, at the root of all this is how to disarm Hamas and what sort of authority and security to put in place. Land. There was discussion yesterday of this plan to send international peacekeepers under the UN umbrella who would provide those troops, and in what sort of access would they be given in Gaza? I mean, that is something that the UN Security Council is being asked for as part of this plan, without sort of more details being provided. It's previously been suggested that there would be Arab troops that could go into Gaza, and that you would then have a handover as swiftly as possible to a new Palestinian police force, with both Egypt and Jordan involved in training up those police officers. But this security issue is really the big one that remains unanswered. I mean, Hamas was not referred to by name in the communique that came out of that Cairo summit. Hamas has welcomed the final statements that came out from this meeting of the Arab League. It has shown a willingness to cede power. The idea as part of this plan would be that you would have a temporary takeover of Gaza by a committee of independent experts that they could oversee the reconstruction, the distribution of humanitarian aid, but ultimately there would be a takeover by a reformed Palestinian Authority. Now, importantly here as well, Israel has ruled out any future role for the Palestinian Authority, which of course at the moment governs parts of the occupied West Bank when it comes to Hamas's position on its weapons. What it has been saying is that it will not disarm until there is the creation of an independent Palestinian state, and that is very problematic for the Arab countries that want to see this reconstruction going ahead. It's very problematic when it comes to SEC shoring up that the current ceasefire, which is looking so wobbly at present. Yeah, just very quickly. UN Steve Witkoff, the U.S. envoy incoming later this week. That's correct. And really, all parties looking to him to see if he can achieve some kind of breakthrough. He has talked about coming here ready to get an extension of the current ceasefire, which is what Israel is now really pushing for, saying it wants the return of the remaining what's believed to be 24 surviving hostages from Gaza in exchange for this continuing period of Phase 1. But we've got Hamas rejecting that, saying it wants to move on. It wants a full end to the war, a full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza by UKK News.